Hey traders, TG Watkins here. And what I wanted to talk about in today's newsletter was that I'm seeing that a pullback should be coming. We started to see it at the end of the quarter, which was last, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I think we're going to get a little bit more pullback. What I want to be seeing is basically something to the daily 50. And part of the reason I'm seeing that is just these are the patterns that I'm pretty used to. That once we cross over the daily 50, we tend to have to pull back at some point, especially since we are also seeing the weekly chart up here at what I call the arch of the foot. Now, if some of these patterns don't make sense to you, or this is the first time you've been hearing about them, then come check out more of my classes and everything else, my live trading room that I do so that you can get up to speed with them. But it is these patterns where we cross the 50, we run into resistance, and then we come back down to the 50 that I tend to see, especially since the Moxie indicator is still below zero. Basically, the Moxie rule is that price should not be over the 50 if the indicator is below zero. And that is definitely what we're seeing on, well, at least the NASDAQ and the S&P. Then if we come and take a different look, if we go over to the SOXX, which is the semis, and we can see that this pattern has already worked out. So look here, you can see that price was able to get over the daily 50, but notice that the Moxie indicator was below zero. Therefore, price should not have been up there, and it was only a matter of time until price is going to pull back to the daily 50 and or below. That's fine. I'm just saying that we're at least going to come back down to the 50. Same thing here. We got the arch of the foot right there on the weekly pattern. And at least on the semis, it came down to the hourly 200. So definitely envisioning a pullback is going to be coming. Now, if we look at Amazon, we could say this Amazon looks exactly like the NASDAQ, basically the same exact pattern like that. And what's happening is we can see that price was crossing the 50, running into resistance, and then it should come back down to the 50. Now, the difference here, the wrinkle is that the Moxie indicator is still above zero here. So perhaps Amazon is actually a little bit stronger than the indexes. But big picture, I'm still worried about the weekly chart with price kind of running into that weekly 50. It can definitely go over it, but that same rule, that same situation where I was saying that price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below zero, well, look what we have on the weekly chart. Price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below zero. And that's what we have setting up. So that was part of what, if I zoom out here just a little bit, that is part of what we saw. And you can see here, there was the Moxie price trigger saying that the Moxie indicator was now negative. And then into this double top, this was an inverse trampoline move. Price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below zero. And we're running into that same situation again. So then let me show you just one more situation here. If we go over to PLL, and not that this is anything related to any of the moves we're seeing, it's just a structural setup that I want to show you because I can demonstrate that this is what I'm expecting. So if we look here with PLL, you can see here's price crossing the 50, runs into some resistance, and then you can see right there, it takes a quick pullback into the 50. That is basically what I'm envisioning for the markets and some of the bigger names to do. Now, in that case, it did bounce. So we're going to have to see if the indexes want to do that too. But if we even zoom out even further, we could say it was the same pattern. Cross the 50, run into resistance, and back down to the 50. It's amazing in this case. It was like the same pattern twice, and then it eventually resolved to the downside. So do be careful out there. We're going to have a lot of movements, both up and down. We could go down and then up and then back down again. So just be prepared for the markets to be changing on a dime, really. So stay safe out there. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out, and hopefully we'll see you in the trading room. Thanks again.